Started then. So again, my name is John Fox with the National Weather Service in Spokane, and I'll be talking about the weather for the upcoming week across the inland Northwest. So let's get started here. So first with the overview. The air quality since we last got together is much improved, and that's mainly care of a strong cold front which passed through. Over the weekend, it's left our air quality much better over most of the inland Northwest, and we'll take a brief look at where the air quality still might remain a little bit problematic, but most places look good. For Tuesday or tomorrow, it looks like another warm and dry day is expected, kind of the theme of what we've experienced for most of this summer. The dryness will still be conducive for allowing the existing wildfires to grow tomorrow, especially for those in the Cascades, based on how dry the air mass is actually going to be. So for Wednesday and Thursday, we finally got to see some changing weather over the area anyways. We have a dry cold front that's expected to move through. It's going to become breezy and quite dry. There'll also be a small chance of precipitation. I'll show you where that's going to be. For Friday and Saturday, still cool for a small and a small chance of rain still hanging over a very small portion of the area. That would mainly be for early Friday or late Thursday. And then as we look out to Sunday through early next week, big changes look like they're in the works, and perhaps the dry streak that we've experienced for the last 80 some days is going to finally come to an end, but we'll see about that. So let's get started here, and we're going to take a look at a loop of the visible satellite. This was just grabbed from our computer recently, and what it shows is a bunch of high clouds passing over the area. Not too much of a big deal, but you still see quite a bit of smoke, especially in Chelan County and Kittitas Valley from the Jolly Ridge fire. That's mainly going to stay in that area. We're also seeing a lot of smoke up near the Diamond Creek fire. That's mainly going to be a northern Okanagan County feature. We don't expect to see the smoke becoming problematic across the inland Northwest during the next 24 to 36 hours, but we will see a gradual increase a little bit. Nothing like what we experienced last week anyway, so that's the good news. So just to revisit, here was the air quality when we looked last week, and all the purples and reds equate to where we were seeing unhealthy or very unhealthy air conditions, and it also shows all the fires that were over the area across eastern Washington and North Idaho. And here's a look today, so a dramatic increase across the area. Most locations were now in good air quality, with the exceptions mainly being for those locations near the Cascades, including the Methow Valley, parts of the Kittitas and Yakima Valleys, and the Wenatchee Valleys as well. And those are the areas where we'd expect to see the poorest air quality continue, at least for the next 24 to 36 hours. Also some local pockets of poor air quality in North Idaho as well. Alright, so as we move to tomorrow, tomorrow most likely is going to be the warmest day across the region, and in fact it could be the warmest day for the remainder of the year. We're expecting to see high temperatures in the mid-80s to even some lower to middle 90s across the lower Columbia Basin, perhaps lower Grant County. The LC Valley looks like it could get into the lower 90s as well. So if you like this warm and dry weather, tomorrow will be your day. We're looking for plenty of sunshine, at least to start the day, with those warm temperatures. Again, the relative humidities will be fairly light as well. So by the time we get to late Tuesday and into Wednesday and Thursday, we are going to be seeing changes as a cold front moves into the area. First of all, it's going to become breezy to windy across the inland Northwest, and that's mainly going to begin, we'll call it Tuesday evening and continuing at times through Thursday. The strongest speeds are going to be in central Washington, mainly the Okanagan Valley, Cascade East Slopes, and most likely the western Columbia Basin. It's also going to become very dry and much cooler, and wetting rains are not expected. The only chance of rain that we're looking at really will be over a small portion of northeast Washington and portions of the Idaho Panhandle. So what sort of temperatures are we talking about once that cold front moves through? We're looking at temperatures dropping anywhere from about 15 to 20 degrees versus where we are right now. So there's the temperatures we're looking at. And these readings are for temperatures anywhere from 4 to 7 degrees cooler than normal for this time of year. So obviously that's a significant change versus what we've been seeing, which is kind of welcome news for all the fires that are around the area. But what is not as so welcome to the fires is these cooler temperatures will be accompanied by winds. Here is a a graphic of what sort of winds we're expecting. And where you see the dark green colors and the lighter green colors are where we would expect to see the strongest winds. So that looks like it would be the Okanagan Valley and onto the western Columbia Basin, perhaps somewhat down the Methow Valley as well, in the Kittitas Valley. So those fires that are near the Cascades, when you combine those winds with the low relative humidities, they could see some decent fire growth on those days, despite the fact that it's going to be much cooler temperatures than what we've been seeing throughout much of the summer. All right, so as far as how much rain are we contemplating in the forecast, this graphic will show you. What I did is I took 3 of our leading weather models just to show what sort of rainfall totals we'd be expecting. So I think the screaming message here is that for the most part, most of the models are showing almost no rain over most of eastern Washington. The only signals of rain would be here over extreme northeast Washington and the Idaho Panhandle. The picture in the lower left-hand corner is kind of the extreme model. I'm not necessarily going to believe that. I believe the other 2 models. And the key is the trend is toward a drying trend as well. So it looks like, if anything, we're going to go toward a drier forecast, and maybe even North Idaho and Northeast Washington won't see much chance of precipitation by the time we get closer to the event. But I would be confident about the cooler and moister weather, at least over the ridges, and certainly cooler temperatures just about everywhere. So for Friday and into Saturday, the winds weaken. The temperatures will remain quite cool across the area, and we're looking at some of the coolest temperatures the region has seen since the middle of June. So what sort of temperatures are we talking about? Well, I grabbed the low temperature forecast for Friday night and Saturday morning, and what it's showing is we're actually going to see some low temperatures in the mid-30s across the northern valleys of Washington and North Idaho, even some patchy frost possible near Republic, and we're talking about lower to middle 40s across the remainder of the region for the most part. So again, these are the coolest temperatures the region has seen since mid-June, and of course with temperatures in the low to mid-30s, we could see some patchy frost is possible. So that's not the end of the story, though. It looks like by the time we get into Sunday and into early next week, the cool temperatures will certainly continue, but it looks like the region will see our best chance of widespread rain beginning as early as Sunday, but a much better chance for Monday, perhaps into early Tuesday. And I'd say the chances are very good that this will end our 80-day rain-free streak across much of the inland Northwest. What sort of rain are we talking about? Rainfall totals? Well, this will not just be a few drops of rain. This will actually be real rain that we're talking about. Again, we're looking at 3 of our top weather models here. And what it's showing is those areas where you see, say, the fuchsia or magenta colors, we're expecting more than a ½ inch of rain. So that would be much of northern Washington, much of the Idaho Panhandle, much of the Cascades as well. And where we're seeing the reddish and orangish colors, that equals more than an inch of rain. And again, that would be from late Sunday and into early Tuesday. So our confidence of seeing rainfall is pretty high at this point. I wouldn't put a lot of faith in those amounts right now, but it looks like the weather will remain moist and cool as we go into early next week as well. So based on that, what are we looking at beyond early next week? Well, the 8 to 14 day forecast calls for the continuation of cooler than normal conditions and wetter than normal conditions as well. So that's very good news as far as the existing wildfires go. The Cascades look like they'll see a good chance of wetting rains. The northeast Washington and any fires over North Idaho will see wetting rains as well. So we very well may have seen the worst of our fire season, especially as we go into this pattern. So that being said, remain informed with our forecast via those social media means, and just ask us questions if you have any. So I will stop the recording right now.